Hi, my name is Mr. Spurs. You probably knew that already. And I did actually used to work for ASL Building Services many years ago. So this was a real life scenario that I faced at the time when I worked for them, which I think with the knowledge I've got now, because at the time I was very young, I was just out of college and such like, and I'd had no formal training in ICT. I think I could do a much better job of this task now, armed with the information that I've got. But you're going to have a go at this task that I was faced with at the time, and it's very similar to what you could be asked to do for many companies who exist. So it's very much a real life task, this. So what we needed at the time, we were a company who did electrical installations and mechanical installations in different buildings, most of them quite large buildings. So we basically put the wires through, put all of the lights in the ceilings, all of the sockets on the walls, all of the distribution boxes, lots and lots of different things. Now, you don't need to know too much about that side of thing. All you need to know was we moved into a new office and it was completely blank. It had nothing in there other than sockets and things like that, and completely blank rooms. So we had to go out and buy all of the benching that we needed. We had to get all of the IT equipment that we needed. We had to get a new internet line in and things like that. Now, it wasn't just a single building. What we actually had was we had one main building, which is where all of the sort of senior staff were based and all of the managers. And then we also had two outbuildings. Now, these were both portal cabins. Okay, they had electric going to them, but other than that, they were just a great big tin, I guess, that you could put desks in and you could sit in. And there were two of these different things. And they were about 5-minute walk away from the main building. So yes, you could walk over there and you could see people, but sometimes it was easier to phone, or what I'm going to suggest is video conference. So that gives you a little bit of an idea about the company. Okay, everybody there needed access to IT, whether they were working in the office or whether they were an electrician or a plumber going out and about, and they needed to keep in touch with people and get a hold of plans and things like that. Now, back in that sort of time, we didn't have the technologies that we've got now. So people used to carry paper plans with them, and all we could really do was phone each other. It was when basically mobile phones had just come out. They weren't smartphones, so they didn't have a screen on them or anything like that. You could text and you could make calls. So what we want, and this is what you're going to plan for, we want you to design the ICT for our new offices. So we're going to need some computers. Now, all I got at the time from the people who were in charge, they didn't know what they wanted. They just said, we need computers, we need Excel, and we need to be able to get to the internet, and we need to be able to print. That's all of the information that I was given. I'm going to give you a little bit more than that. What this organization need, they do need those things. They need access to the internet. They need to be able to print. They need computers, but they also need to be networked. So those computers need to be joined together in some way so they can send each other information. Now, you might decide to do that on a local network. You might decide you're going to do that over the internet. That's a decision that you're going to need to make. They will have some fixed computers. So some people have desks in the main office, and those people will need a computer that's always there and is always connected to a printer. We only actually need one printer. You can connect all of the computers to that one printer, and they can all print to the same printer. We will need some software. We're going to need some Microsoft software because some people who work there have only ever used that, and all of their existing spreadsheets and templates are on Microsoft Excel. However, they're not against the idea of looking at other tools as well that may help them become more modern. So that, again, is a choice that you're going to need to think about and make. Now, as well as the fixed computers, the people who work in the portal cabins, they are going to need access to print as well. They can print in the main office. They don't have to have their own printers, but somehow they need to be connected to that printer. They also need to have access to the central information like the templates and things like that the organization have. So they're going to need some way to connect with the other computers in the main office. We don't want them to have fixed computers because the portal cabins aren't very secure. So it would be quite easy for someone determined to break in and steal the IT equipment. So all we're going to have in there are just desks, and people will bring their own equipment with them. So we're looking for something like a laptop type device or a tablet. A decision again, which is for you to think about and decide what is best for their needs. Now, as well as the laptops for people who are working in the portal cabins, we have electricians and plumbers who go off to do work around various buildings. So they get their plans. It's all designed in the head office and things like that on Microsoft Excel and a specialist computer-aided design CAD planning package, which they already have a license for. It just needs to be installed. That is for Microsoft computers it'll work on. So that CAD package, they will need some way of getting the plans and the printouts from that they can take with them. Now, in the past, they've always done this through paper plans. We're quite keen to look at whether or not there's a way that we can do this electronically, so we're not having to print out great big massive sheets of paper, which when I used to do this were probably about the size of my office that I'm sitting in right now. We want to see if we can do this in an electronic way. So think about what might be the best technology for those people when they're out and about to access those plans. Those plans can be saved as images, it can be saved as PDFs or whatever, but what technology will the people who are out and about need to be able to look at those plans and get hold of them? So that gives you a bit of an overview. There's one more thing, sorry, that I nearly forgot. The people who are out and about on site and the people in the portal cabins and the managers all want a way of communicating with each other. Now, in the past, they've used a mobile phone, but they're interested in exploring whether or not they could do some sort of video conferencing with each other. So it's just like they're meeting in person, but they're obviously in different locations. So that needs to be a factor when you're thinking about what you give them as well. Now, your job is to come up with the whole thing. So you're going to plan what computers are going to need in the head office, what they're going to need in the portal cabins, how they're going to connect those things together, what devices are people going to take off-site, how are they going to connect to the internet, how are they going to connect to a printer, what software should they have? Is it all going to be Microsoft and the CAD package, or do you recommend that they look at something else as well? Okay, a lot of this you'll be able to think off the top of your head. Some of it you're going to need to research, talk to each other. And if you need to ask more questions of the company, I am your client. So I'm going to play the part of the person who's working for that organization. And I should be able to answer those questions because, like I say, once upon a time, I was actually in this position. So if you've got any further questions to clarify anything or find out more, I'm the person to come to and ask. But other than that, I'm not going to give you any more information than that. When I had to do this, nobody came and taught me anything or taught me how to do it. I just had to find out. And I think it's a good process for you to go through, to have to go through the same thing. I will, of course, help you if you're stuck, and I'll tell you which bits I think are good ideas and maybe point you in the direction if I think you're on the wrong track. But really, this is for you to try and find out about and try and work out. Good luck.